Does nutrient per gram matter in any scenario, even though it's not the more consistent metric?
Oh, certainly. So, nutrients per calorie is the definition of nutrient density. And I've talked before about the reason why that's important is because we have a certain energy requirement of the day, right? A certain number of calories that we need. And we have our daily values for all of the essential nutrients. We have, target amounts for important nutrients that aren't technically essential. And we want to make sure that we are hitting the daily values of all the essential nutrients without overdoing calories. And so that the number that helps us inform those choices so that we're achieving that goal is nutrients per calorie, right? Is nutrient density. But nutrient density is just one way of looking at the value of food. And it doesn't tell us some very important information about a food. So it doesn't tell us what nutrients are in that food, right? And it also doesn't tell us how that food contributes to our overall diet. And it's why I talk often about never distilling a healthy diet to just the Nutrivore score, right? Just a measurement of nutrient density. Even though the Nutrivore score is a very comprehensive way of measuring nutrient density, it's still only one piece of information, and we want more information than that to inform our food choices. So it's why we also talk about like Nutrivore foundational foods, right? Which gives you the patterns of what types of foods have what types of nutrients. And when we're meeting those serving targets, we're getting that like full complement of nutrients that our bodies need in the relative proportions that our bodies need them. So nutrients per gram of food or per 100 grams comes into play when we're comparing highly related foods. And there are a collection of foods where a serving is defined by weight, right? So a serving of seafood, a serving of meat, a serving of eggs. Cheese is determined by weight. Nuts and seeds are determined by weight. Whole grains are determined by weight. Legumes are they're more equivalent, so you can define them either by weight or by volume, because they're more consistent across the board. But we've got a bunch of foods where like a serving is 1 ounce or 1.5 ounces or 3 ounces or 4 ounces, right? So that's where like nutrients per gram can help us understand how that food contributes nutritionally to the whole diet because it's equivalent to like nutrients per serving. But that is like still important information. That's why the food articles on Nutrivore.com give you the full, like they give you the Nutrivore score, here's the nutrient density, and then the full nutrient breakdown per serving, because those two pieces of information are really like they complement each other, right? So that tells us the quality of the calories of the food, right? So how does this food contribute in terms of essential nutrients versus in terms of energy to my diet? And then what are the nutrients? How much of those nutrients am I getting per serving? Like we really want both of that information to inform our food choices. So quantifying, right, creating a different scoring system that is nutrients per gram, it's really confusing. I actually did in the early developments of the Nutrivore score play around with a secondary system that was nutrients per gram to try to like create a double score. And it doesn't actually make as much sense as you think it's going to make. And that's because there's a lot of things impacting the density of a food, like water content, like fiber, that like just makes it really counterintuitive and makes it not predictable in the way that you think it's going to be. So the reason why there's not a score like that exists is because the density of a food can vary so much. A nutrients per gram measurement is not as useful for informing choices as a nutrients per calorie measurement.